green green stripes AG. This is the Doug Nevins practice routine, and this is a simple a simple routine that you can do every single practice, and your team is just gonna get better and better at it. And it's what it really does is really help you elevate the competitiveness level and intensity level within your team. And I've been saying that if you can make your practices more intense and more competitive than your competition, then you're gonna have a great season, right? It's very rare that you will be playing at a level more intense than the other team and lose the game. So this is right. This is not going to work for every team at the highest level, but this is something that any coach at any level can really use to run a fun and effective practice, because it's, again, super simple, and it really kind of works on the fundamentals of what you need to be successful as a team, to have any type of success, right? You got to finish on goal. You have to be able to, well, you don't have to, but it's nice if you can cross the ball and finish it. And then you want to be able to right, playing to big goals in a very tight space is going to allow players, or it's going to allow your team to work on transitioning from attack to defense and defense to attack rapidly. Okay, so let's get into it. As players start to come to practice, what we would do is 2v5, right? So you kind of start with it's just keep way, right? And this is something that's light enough where no one should kind of injure themselves, yet it should help them. I think this is actually, as I think back, it's a preventative against players going to shoot on goal, because there's been times where players who neglect a warm-up will severely injure themselves, potentially for the whole season, because they go to rip a shot and maybe they clip the ground, or they do an ankle, or they do they do a knee, and that's not good. So this is actually the 2v5 keep way is a way to prevent that from happening, and also to get their blood flow and get a lot of touches and just have some fun. So this is something that you could encourage, right? When players start to trickle in, right? The first 7 players start to set up 2v5, and then once your whole team is ready, then you can go right into team warm up. So you could Google search the warm up of any of the best teams. Just search top 10 ranked teams in the nation, and then search their own team warm-ups. Or you could also search Edo Portal beginner locomotion, and this is a simple warm-up, but it's so dynamic in its ranges of motion, right? You're going to get a lot of ranges of motion in a very tight time window, and at first it's going to look very you might have your players start to laugh when they see you do it, but I mean, if you search this guy Edo Portal, he doesn't mess around when it comes to movement. So this is something that's definitely worth checking out. Okay, possession. You ideally want to have possession done. Let's say you have access to half of the field. You kind of have to make a judgment call, because you want possession to be in an area tighter than necessary, so that you encourage speed of play and encourage players to maximize the space that they have access to them, right? So possession isn't really it's not a fitness or endurance drill. It's more about helping players unlock their own creativity by restricting their touch count, right? So you could go at first unlimited touch. Let's say you're just doing two teams have, it's just 2-team possession play, and then you could say, okay, now we're going to go, you just call out 2 touch, and then you go, so you could say it's 2 touch with 1 on the takeover, And when you say 2-touch, 1 on the takeover, that means when one team regains possession of the ball, they have an extra touch to play. So then you could go, if they can start to connect 5 passes in a row or something like that, then they get a point. And then as you start to get better and better possession, you can start to do possession with 1 touch, 1 on the takeover, but you might not even get that far because, right, if these are players who, my understanding is that they have raw strength, but their skills aren't that developed, you might not even get to have them play 1 touch with 1 on the takeover. Okay, so next is so let's say you have access to half the field. So for example, based on your numbers, you might even have them play possession in this area of the field, or you could kind of cut the field at the top of the semicircle, and then use this, right? So use this grid, or if you've got maybe less numbers, you can use possession in this area. So you kind of have to start to make a judgment call, right? You don't want the area so tight that they're like sardines, but you want to definitely have it so that they're constricted, their time and their space is limited to, again, help them unlock their own creativity and movement. Next is finishing on goal. So finishing on goal is actually 2 parts. The first part is Slotsville. So you have the players start in this region, ballpark, right? Everyone forms a line with the ball, and then they're going rapid fire on goal, and they're trying to tuck the ball in the side netting, right? So it's basically low, hard-driven balls here and here, right? Hitting that side netting, and you don't want to use a whistle. You kind of want to have them go rapid fire, and this is psychologically demanding on keepers, right? Because players, when they start to develop the ability to hit a low-driven ball on the ground, and keepers are just seeing shot after shot of low, hard-driven balls, if you have more than one keeper, then you kind of want to, you tell them to go in and out of the goal as they please, right? So this isn't for keepers specifically, but you tell the keepers just have fun with it and kind of pop in, pop out, and you don't even need a keeper per se. Let's say your keeper is at home or sick or something, or right, you could just have them go through this drill without a keeper, and they'll still benefit from it. So that's finishing on goal. Then the second part of finishing on goal is called Volleysville. So you actually want to stand here, right? So you stand right there, and you are going to be facing the goal, and players are going to be facing you. So they're going to pick up the ball. They have the ball in their hands. They hand you the ball. You throw the ball over their head, and they're going to turn around, spin around, and then 1 touch, rip a volley on goal, nice and easy. And then so you could go 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes finish on goal with Slotsville, right side netting, and then maybe 5 minutes finish with finishing on goal Volleysville, right? So two different sections or components of finishing a goal. Then you go right into crossing and finishing, right? No breaks. The fitness is actually the whole practice, and you say, okay, players, if you want to get water or bathroom break, whatever, don't even ask, just go get it. But you could have them flow right through it. So for crossing and finishing, you want balls on your wingers, right? So all the balls that are at practice, they go to this right side and the left side, and this is the crossing lines, and then you have the finishing lines here. All the lines rotate, and these players, they make a crisscrossing run when they finish on goal, right? Same thing as finishing on goal. You don't want to use a whistle. You kind of want to have them go as they're ready to keep it flowing. So when, let's say, this line starts, this line makes a slightly curved run, crosses the ball in. These guys, they make right? So this one goes first, and then these guys kind of make a slightly delayed run, and then they crisscross. This one goes here, this one goes here, and then they finish on goal with any part of the body they want, right? And ideally, very low, hard-driven crosses are kind of more dangerous to defend than balls in the air, but it's kind of at the discretion of the crosser, right? So you might have to reset, right? If you have no backstop here, you might have to grab, right? Take a maybe this goes on for 10-15 minutes. You might have to reset and grab the balls either from the back of the net, or if they've kind of gone beyond the field. So you might have to collect them, and that might happen 2 or 3 times throughout the course of this drill. Next, possession, finish on goal, right? Possession, finish on goal, cross finish, right? So possession, right? 10-15 minutes after team warm up, 10-15, and then this is again 10 or 15, cross finishing, same thing, 10-15, and then this is the bread and butter, right? You go straight into playing to big goals. So ideally, you have access to 2 goals that are full-size goals, and then you could put those goals kind of at the same. You want them tight, right, close together, and the reason you want them close together is because this is really going to help you transition your team's transition from offense to defense. You should have a goal scored every 2 to 4 minutes, right? And if a goal isn't being scored every 2 to 4 minutes, and then your field is too big, right? So then you could lay some cones down the width of the 18, and that might be too big, right? Something like that, because then what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the team sitting out, surround the field as bumper players, right? So one player here, one on this end, one on this end, one on this end, here, and here, for example, or if you have less numbers, and then just one, and so they're neutral players with one touch, right? Bumper players with one touch, and what this does is that it makes playing to big goals on a small team, on a small field with teams split up into 3. It makes it it elevates the play, because if there's only 2 teams playing against each other, there's really nothing gained and nothing lost when one team scores. But once you have 3 teams, once you turn your team into 3, then there's this component of something gained and something lost, right? Because if you're a player who loves playing, which most players do, you don't want to be sitting on the outside, right? You want to be on the field, kind of king of the hill style. You want to dominate, right? You want to be, the pennies or the red pennies who won, quote unquote, this said game, and right, you don't want to be the team that's constantly getting kicked off the field. So this really elevates your energy levels, and it's a great way, right? You want to finish on this because now players have this memory of having a lot of fun towards the end of practice, and you kind of want to end this game short, right? Because then they're gonna really remember the great energy that you left off with it, and right, they're gonna look forward to coming to practice next time. And if this runs too long, then you're gonna tire them out. Let's say the day before a game, you don't want to have this go for too long, right? And plus, you're already gonna be, and then the whole practice is, quote unquote, the fitness, right? Every single one of these things is kind of a high tempo. You're not rush, but it's at a high tempo. So, and if you don't have, let's say you don't have a keeper to play this, or to play with these teams, you could have a sweeper keeper, right? So the last defender can kind of use his hands, or you could have, if your numbers are kind of messed up, then you can have a neutral player who plays for both teams. And let's say you don't have big goals, or you only have one big goal, but you don't have access to a second goal. You can use you can put any type of cone, 2 cones, four cones so that they create two gates, so that this team, instead of protecting a big goal, then they protect two smaller gates, and that's a way that you can adapt to that. And that could even, even if you have, for some reason, in some odd scenario, when you have a field you got to practice on with no big goals, then you could make just four gates, right? Each team protects two gates or something like that. So that's it, right? And then you could finish with an ROKP, Ben Patrick style cooldown. ROKP stands for reversing out of knee pain. And even though this stands for, it focuses on knee pain, it's actually a full body, low impact exercise to cool down. So you just have the players, right after a game, they could walk the length of the field back in reverse, right? They walk backwards the length of the field, and then they walk backwards the length of the field all the way back. And this kind of helps them, and ideally you want to do that barefoot, because if they do that barefoot, then it's really going to help them feel the ground and decompress, right, relieve tension from their toes, strengthen their toes, all the way up the spine. So that's as simple. If you Google search ROKP, you could kind of find out some of those benefits. And I'm going to assume that there's no nails or glass in the field, but you just got to be mindful that there's, kind of check the field before and after, so there's nothing that they could, cut themselves on. That would be not good. And and that's it. And the beauty is that this is going to help you improve team camaraderie, because this is, Doug Nevins, he's a former professional player. He did this routine with us. I did this routine with him for 2 years straight. We would do the same thing every practice. And that's kind of why it was so much fun, because we knew what was going to happen in practice, yet there's some nuances here, right? You could do some different types of possession games. You could do possession games where there's gates on the field to play through gates. You could do three-team possession. If you have the pennies or the numbers, right? You kind of need even numbers, and you need a certain number of pennies. So there, right? It's, even though we did the same thing every practice, it was still a lot of fun, because there's still, even though you do the same thing, it's still dynamic, right? There's still unknowns, even though you're doing the same thing. So for that reason, this is I've had a lot of pro coaches in my life, and this one stands out in my mind, and this is why I really share it with anyone asking these types of questions. And this is something that, as you do it more and more, your team's going to get better and better at it. So hopefully this helps, and reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.